Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. I have got two amazing recipes for you today. A melanzane style pasta dish with aubergine, bocconcini mozzarella, fresh basil and parmesan. It's going to be delicious. And then I'm going to show you how to make a Spanish style omelette. I'm not allowed to call it a Spanish omelette, am I, Carlos? No, really. It's Spanish omelette inspired and it's blooming delicious. Okay, welcome to my kitchen. Now, we have got some fabulous recipes lined up for you. We have partnered up with Beefsteak, my favorite brand of wine. Today, we're going to be cooking with the most delicious Malbec Rosé. We've tried this before, haven't we, Emily?
It's good.
My wife is a big fan of this bottle of wine, and I wanted to cook the most delicious recipe that matches this Rosé Malbec beautifully, and it's going to be a melanzane style pasta dish. Now, melanzane is like a Tuscan gratin of aubergines and mozzarella and basil and a tomato ragu and breadcrumbs and parmesan. It's baked, it's all bubbly and delicious, which sounds awesome. But I thought, why don't we make it a bit lighter, a little bit crisper and delicious to go with this amazing rosé wine. So first thing we need to do is get our pasta on to cook because it doesn't take long. So, salted boiling water. Now, I use a lot of salt in my water because I was always taught to cook your pasta in water that is as salty as seawater, okay? And that's like your first layer of seasoning is the water that you're cooking it in. So, spaghetti, 9 minutes, salted boiling water, okay? But we are going to use a little bit of the cooking water in that pasta in a little while. So don't let it go too far. Let's keep it just over here to one side and we'll let that cook. So we'll get a pan onto the heat. Now remember, if you have any questions about today's recipes, post them in the comments below and I will answer them for you. And also, if you want the recipes, type free book in the comments and it will launch into Facebook Messenger. Now it goes down the side here. Carlos is going to put a graphic and it'll show you how it all works. And he's looking at me now to make sure I'm putting it down the right side because it goes on the right, not my left. Because I'm left-handed, I want to do it here, but it's not. It's here, okay? So type free book in the comments. It'll launch into Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and follow the instructions and the book will automatically be dropped into your Facebook Messenger after you've followed the instructions. Emily has created the most amazing looking book. You'll love it. Right, on to cooking. So, what do you think? Have you had melanzane before, Emily?
You've cooked it a few times.
I think I've cooked the baked version, haven't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the unbaked version.
Yeah, I'm looking
Okay, so we're going to start off with some garlic to begin with. So, 2 cloves of garlic, just crack them like that. And that'll just help you unwrap the garlic really, really easy.
Is fresh garlic better than
Yes. Don't use lazy garlic. Bad. Okay, there is no need, in my opinion.
And if you had like a bigger garlic clove, would you just say to use one?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, everything tastes better with garlic in, doesn't it? Let's be honest. It's just a really good starting point. Get some garlic in there. Dried garlic is no good for this sort of thing. It has its uses. You know, it's quite good for working into pastry and things like that, or dry marinades and things, but fresh garlic, okay? Some extra virgin olive oil into a nice, decent-sized non-stick pan. There we go. Now, a couple of tablespoons of olive oil in there because it's going to help be part of the sauce for this, okay? So let's make sure we're hot. There we go, in with our garlic. And then just a little sprinkle of salt in there, not a lot. We need to be sparing with our salt because we're going to use it for the aubergine as well because you need to get the moisture out of the aubergine, okay? So cut the top and the bottom off. Just cut the side off the aubergine there. The black skin is a little tougher, so we'll get rid of that and then just cut it into, what, 1 centimetre slices.
Yeah.
We'll put those to one side. We don't need those. I love aubergine. I use it loads.
I've started liking aubergine. You showed me how to cook it properly.
Yeah.
And I feel like now I can cook it properly, because sometimes if you don't, it can go a bit.
You've got to get the water out of an aubergine. You've got to get that moisture out. So let's get that in the pan. And once you do, you get this really lovely texture. And I think when the water comes out, you also get some of the bitterness out of there as well. I mean, Italians use aubergines loads when they're in season. Okay? So, we're very much kind of taking our Melanzane inspiration and flavours from this. So, season up your aubergines and let's start to get the moisture out. Okay? So this is the first recipe of a new summer series that we're doing, Peter Sidwell's Summer Kitchen, that we're doing this year, and we've partnered up with Beefsteak. And Beefsteak wine they've got the lovely rosé, they've got the Sauvignon Blanc, and they've got the Malbec. They've got a few others as well, actually, which I've discovered. I found Beefsteak wine probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I've been using it. It's one of our favourite wines. I think pound for pound, it's such a great wine. You will see it in your supermarkets on the shelves all over the country. Check it out. It is, you know, if you like your Malbecs, oh my goodness, the red. I mean, I introduced you to red wine with Malbec, which is quite that's in at the deep end
it's a
sort of.
grown-up drink to me.
It is, and
it's so delicious.
It is a lovely
So delicious.
eating wine. It's lovely to eat food with. I've even got a recipe where we're going to serve it chilled red wine. It's controversial, but I've talked to the guys at Beefsteak and they're on board. Okay, and then obviously the Malbec Rosé is it's fruity, it's light, it's crisp. Such a great summer wine. It's going to be fantastic with this dish. So back to our aubergines. A little bit of black pepper as well. We want to get our seasoning levels up. Okay, so while that's cooking, let's get our cherry tomatoes. Okay, so with the traditional melanzane, it's about a tomato ragu, and because we want to lighten it all up, we're going to use cherry tomatoes just cut in half. When the aubergines are ready, that's when we put the tomatoes in and sort of bring that together.
Can you use any other types of tomatoes if you've got them in, or do you think cherry works best?
Yeah, I think cherry works really nicely, but you could use other tomatoes. You just don't want loads of water.
Yeah.
So when tomatoes are lovely and ripe and sweet, which is generally in the summer in the UK, that's when to use tomatoes. Now, if you fancied this in the winter and you're watching on catch-up, buy a really good quality tin of Italian chopped tomatoes and pour them through a sieve so you get rid of a lot of liquid and then you're just left with flavour. You kind of forget, people all around the world watch this programme.
Yeah.
Might be summer here in the UK, but it'd be winter somewhere else.
Yep, absolutely.
Kind of forget, don't you? So...
And do these tomatoes kind of like help create the sauce as well?
Yeah, they're going to break down a little bit, but we're not going to cook them loads. So we've got those there. And then we're going to serve them up with these. Have you had these before? This is bocconcini.
Oh, I asked
so
you
they're
about this, didn't I?
tiny little mozzarella balls. Now, if you can't get them, just use a fresh mozzarella ball and tear it all up. But for this dish, I love this because you can just chuck them in and you get like little wells of melted gooey mozzarella as you're eating it.
So they have like just basically a smaller version of.
Yeah, they're just little mozzarellas. So instead of your 150 gram balls, you've got like a 10 gram one. No, do you want to try one? Tell you what, if you're going to try one, let me try it the way it should be intended. Okay. So let's get a little bit of fresh basil, half a cherry tomato. I know you love your tomatoes, don't you?
I do.
You want tiny little pinch of salt, okay? Tiny little pinch of pepper. And then a little bit of olive oil on there. You're going to try it properly. There you go. Taste that, all in one, chuck it in. Nice? She can't answer. I'm going to go with yes.
Yeah,
it's very nice, Pete.
That's nice, that.
Yeah? So, aubergines are starting to colour. Salt is drawing the moisture out. It's doing what we want it to do, which is great.
What would happen if you didn't put the salt in? What would the texture change of the aubergine?
So the aubergines won't give out their moisture, and you need the moisture to give out so it can evaporate, so that you're left with a nice texture and a nice flavour. Right, so got a little bit of butter here. So we're going to add our tomatoes in, okay? Chuck them in, all of it. Little bit of butter, what? 20 grams. This will help make a sauce, okay? Our pasta is cooking nicely. We're going to add some lovely starchy water from these. So just give them a little toss. Get them all working together. Tomato, aubergines, best friends. They love being together. And we'll take our basil. Just pick the leaves.
Did you use any other types of... You used the spaghetti, didn't you, for this?
Yeah, we've just gone with spaghetti. Nothing...
Have any type of pasta with it? Is it one of those dishes doesn't necessarily need...
Yeah, I don't think it matters, but I quite like it with spaghetti.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think if you're going to serve this to people who normally eat meat, you're going to convert them to their new vegetarian favourite.
Yeah.
Aubergine and melanzane, I always convert meat eaters with it because they love it. Because it's got texture and it's got flavour.
Yeah.
Right, so you can see all that coming together now. The tomato is giving out a little bit of juice as well. I'm just going to get a ladle. And we're going to do our little trick. So, I'm going to take a ladle full. So this is a ladle full of hot pasta water from the pan. The pasta's cooking. It's got starch in it. When you add that to the pan, it reduces and leaves the starch and helps it all go nice and silky. Okay? So in with your pasta water. It brings everything together and it just makes everything delish. So with our basil, you've got to be really gentle with basil, because if you chop it heavily and aggressively, it goes bitter because it goes bruised. So push your knife in and away and actually use the edge of the knife to cut it. All right? You don't need to cut it a lot either. That's enough. If you do this, it's all going to go black because it gets bruised, not sliced. Okay? So you use the edge of your knife. Keep your knives sharp. And there you go. You've got some lovely cut basil. And this is the difference of when you try a dish and you're like, oh, that's amazing. And then you try and make it at home. If you don't do these little things, they end up just not being quite as nice. Are we all right, Emily?
Just put your rice in there.
Yeah. Okay. So our aubergine and our tomatoes are done. So let's put our basil in there. Don't touch it yet. Okay? We're going to take our bocconcini. Just one packet. Pop those there, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pasta.
It smells so good already.
No, it's a good dish, this. It's a good start to a great series, this. Take your tongs and lift your pasta and then add it to the pan, okay? This is my kind of cooking, this.
Yeah.
I love this kind of food. I mean, literally, this has taken 10, 12 minutes to cook. How long have we been filming?
15 minutes.
15 minutes from me yabbering on at the beginning. Look, we're nearly done. May well be a record. Okay, so let's season up with a little bit of black pepper. And then I bought some lovely pecorino cheese the other day. You could use Parmesan or pecorino. It's entirely up to you. And then let's just put a little bit of that in there. There we go. This is going to work perfectly with the Malbec Rosé, I promise you. Right. Am I right to toss it on here? Yeah? So, give it a nice toss. Okay. Get your tongs in and just move it all around, okay? Get all those flavours working together. Lovely.
Oh, it smells delicious.
That's it. Nice. Okay, right. Let's grab a plate. Let's serve this up. I'm going to pop that on there. It feels incredibly Mediterranean, this.
It feels like summer.
It's a good way to start the series, I think. There we go. So I'm twisting it. I'm trying to make it all nice and posh. There we go. And then I'm just going to grab a spoon so we can get some of these lovely aubergines and tomatoes on there. Look at that. Nice.
Simple but effective.
Really simple. It's about aubergine, it's about tomato. Oh. And
Stringy
look how stringy those
mozzarella.
bocconcinis are. And it's about the bocconcini.
So is that a word for small mozzarella? Is that
Yeah,
what it
it's
means?
just what the little mozzarella pearls are called. And then let's take some of our pecorino. Pop that on there. Nice. Right. Let's grab a glass. Star of the show, Malbec Rosé wine from beefsteak. It's a beautiful, it's crisp, it's absolutely perfect with this summer pasta recipe. There we go. Get yourself down to the supermarket and find this wine. It is really, really good. And then enjoy it with some of this delicious pasta. It's going to test my skills presenting, eating and cooking all at the same time.
It's not the first time you've done it.
Oh, it's good. I'm not sure I want to share this one, Emily.
Oh, you've got to share it.
Beautiful dish. So, let's recap what we've got. It is a melanzane style spaghetti dish. We have got aubergines, garlic, cherry tomatoes, bocconcini, little pearls of mozzarella, fresh basil, cooked up with some lovely pasta, 9 minutes, so it's still al dente, finished with a bit of pecorino cheese and served up with a delicious rosé Malbec from beefsteak. Okay, now it's time to make the most incredible Spanish omelette. Now, Carlos is a little bit upset with me for doing this because he says it's not a Spanish omelette if I'm doing what I'm doing to it. But I tell you what, it makes it delicious. Right, it starts with onions. This is a Spanish omelette. It's inspired by what they do in Spain, okay? Is that all right? Okay, got my thumbs up. So this is almost the most important part of the recipe, is getting the onions cooked and caramelized and sweet and delicious. So, in half and super thinly sliced onions. The thinner they are, the better they will cook and caramelize, okay?
White onion appropriate for this, or can you use
White onion appropriate for this. Yeah, I would go with white onions, not red, not spring onions. It's got to be these. I mean, you could use shallots, I suppose, if you wanted to. But it's quite an expensive way to do it.
And what makes it a Spanish-style omelette?
Well, the traditional, is it tortilla? Would it be traditionally, Carlos? A tortilla? Yeah. So it's a traditional recipe. I've just fiddled with it a little bit. I've tried to make it a bit better for my friends over in Spain. So it's all about like potatoes and onions cooked. I mean, it's a humble dish.
Yeah.
It's not expensive ingredients. It's a sort of Spanish family home staple, really. They have it, you know, it's probably a bit like, equates to our beans on toast or something like that, probably. Everyone makes it, kind of thing. I don't make beans on toast.
like homemade beans.
I don't like beans.
Do you not?
I don't like the texture. I find them a bit weird. It's a bit controversial, I know, but I don't like baked beans. Get over it.
Is that like kidney beans or anything?
I'll eat them, but I'm not a fan of beans for some reason. It's one of I kind of feel like I wish I was, but I'm not.
Fair enough.
So I've learned to cope with it. Right, preheat my pan. Get some olive oil in there. And then we're going to get these onions in. And as you're putting them in, break them up a bit. All right? Break them up. We want to get a nice, good surface area.
And obviously that looks like a lot of onion, but these kind of cook down into...
It does look like a lot of onions. I think it's 2 onions I've got here, but they will cook down. And you cook them down and down and down until they are caramelized, okay? Let's wash my hands. And what we're going to do is we're going to salt them in a second. And really, the salt will draw the moisture out, as I'm sure many of you have heard me say many times. That salt will draw the moisture out and make them sweeter and more delicious. So the steam that's coming out of there will evaporate. That's the moisture coming out of the onions, and the natural sugars that are in onions will caramelize, and that's what will make it really nice and golden and delish. So we'll give them a little stir.
So, what's the difference between frying them and caramelising them?
Well, you could fry them off. Generally, you fry them off and you don't really add much colour.
Right.
But once the water is evaporated, then the sugar starts to caramelise, and that's when you get a sweet onion. And they become nice and sweet and delicious. But it's important to get that as big a surface area as you can. Okay? So we'll get that on. Now, while the onions are cooking, we will prepare our potatoes. Okay, so I'm going to peel our potatoes. I've got my oven preheated to 190 degrees. So we're actually going to try this dish with a chilled Malbec. So we're working with, in partnership with Beefsteak, which is an amazing wine brand. You might have seen it in the supermarkets in the UK, and they've got lovely Malbecs, they've got Sauvignon Blancs, they've got a Rosé Malbec, which is really delish. They've also got Tuna Club, haven't they? And they have the Beast, which is a Portuguese red wine, really fruity. It's nice, actually. So that they've got some lovely hand-picked wines that are just fab. And they asked me if I wanted to work with them, create some delicious recipes that are perfect for serving with their wines, but also I'll be cooking with some of them as well, because there's nothing better than cooking with a wine that you're also going to drink at the table, I think. So stay tuned. We've got some fab, summertime, light, crisp, delicious recipes that are definitely worth taking out into the kitchen, out of the kitchen, and eating in the garden if you can. So let's get these potatoes peeled. Now, if you've got any questions at all, make sure you post them in the comments below. And if you want any of our recipes, go to Facebook in the comment feed. So if you're watching on YouTube, switch over to Facebook, search out Peter Sidwell's Kitchen, post in the comments a free book, and it will automatically launch into Facebook Messenger, and follow the instructions, and we will deliver you an ebook that Emily has beautifully designed with my recipes. She's photographed them, she's put it all together, and it will just drop in to your Facebook Messenger feed after you followed the instructions. So if you want them, do that. Haven't you, Emily?
Yeah.
All set with the super duper ebooks. It's working really well, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
The ability for people just to be able to get a lovely little ebook. It's almost like if you follow us through the year, you'll end up with all these chapters and then put them all together. I think we probably should put it all together one day.
So yeah, and see what we can do.
And maybe we'll print it. You never know. It's been about 10 years since I've done a book, so it's probably due. No, Emily's saying no.
Not yet.
That just makes me want to do it more. Right, potatoes peeled. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit different, I think. Okay, so I'm going to cut them in half, and then cut them in half again into quarters, long ways, and then chop them up. And again, what we're going to try and do is get rid of the moisture. because that's the important thing, is getting rid of moisture.
Well, this isn't what I thought you were going to do with this.
Sorry?
This isn't what I thought you were going to do with this.
Is it not?
No.
What did you think I was going to do with it?
I don't know. I was quite intrigued as to how you were gonna cook them, but not like that.
Oh, there you go. You see, to keep you all guessing.
And is baking potato the right thing to use?
Yeah, baking potato. So something like a Maris Piper, something like that. And then we're going to get them into this tin, and we're going to whack them in the oven in a minute. And the idea is that we cook them while the onions are cooking, and it almost becomes an indicator for you as to how long the onions actually need to do it right. So it's well worth doing properly, and then you get the really good flavours coming out. You don't want any raw onion. All right, Pip. Dog thinks I'm cutting an apple. I'm not. Sorry, Pip. Right, so let's get a little bit of olive oil on here. Let's get a little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. And then just get your hands in. Mix it all together. Make sure all the potatoes get a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. It's quite a good way of doing it, actually. If you've got extra potatoes or anything like that, or cook extra on a meal, and then you've got them. So you can see the onions are starting to turn a little bit now. That's good, that's what we want. You need to be golden and sweet and delicious. Right, into the oven. I think these are probably going to take 20 minutes to cook. And then, by then, your onions will be ready and delicious. Right, the onions, you can see here, they've gone really soft, they've gone golden, they're ready to come out. Potatoes are nearly ready. So let's just pop these in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the pan so it's ready to cook our Spanish omelette in. So put those to one side and then they're ready. Right, potatoes are nearly cooked in the oven. My onions are caramelized and sweet and ready to go. I've cleaned my pan, so I'm going to get that on the heat, get it nice and warm and hot, medium heat, let it get hot slowly rather than really fast, really quick, okay? We'll get some oil in there and we'll get everything in. So first thing we need to do, 6 eggs, okay?
How many people does this serve, by the way? Is it obviously a bit more filling with potatoes and onions?
The idea is that you cut it into wedges and everyone has a bit.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I think this would serve 4 people.
Yeah.
It depends on your appetite. Really? I mean, I don't know. If I have an omelette, if I have a frittata at home, I generally have 3 egg, like a 3 egg omelette.
Right.
Yeah, that's a normal thing, isn't it?
Is it?
How many eggs do you have in your omelette?
2, but I think 3 is probably like your average amount to use.
Yeah, for a main course, for a meal.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have omelettes instead of, you know, other things, you see. So,
Yeah.
Right, okay. So I've got my 6 eggs in there, a bit of salt and pepper. Get them whisked up, okay? Now don't forget, if you want the recipes, type free book in the comments below. And if you want more information about Beefsteak Club, scan the QR code along the bottom or go to beefsteakclubwines.com and you can find all the information. I think you can find like where your nearest stockist might be and things like that. So, but I have noticed more and more the wines are in more and more supermarkets as I'm moving about, which is great. So, 6 eggs. There we go. Now, in with our onions. In they go. And then I'm going to get my manchego cheese. Now, this is the controversial bit, I think, for Carlos.
If you don't have manchego cheese.
Parmesan would work really well.
Right. What kind of flavour does manchego cheese have that it works well with this recipe?
Well, it's a little bit like, to be honest, it's a bit like Parmesan. It's not quite as old, the aging process of it. The traditional manchego is a sheep's milk cheese. It's got a slight tang to it. It's a Spanish cheese, which is why I'm using it and sort of bringing it all together and sort of just creating a delicious recipe. And like manchego cheese is more and more common everywhere now. You can get it all in the supermarkets and everything. And there's lots of grades of manchego, and some you would just eat. And then, you know, the really good artisanal ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you just eat it as slices.
Well, that's all I've ever had it. I didn't realise there was different ones that you could like.
Yeah, well, it's like, you know, it's like the Italian pecorinos. There's loads of them out there, and there's some that you would just eat. They're that good. Yeah. And then some you would cook with. And I just thought it would work really well in here. So we'll mix the eggs. So let's whisk all that together. We want it to really evenly distribute. And then we will get our potatoes, which should be just cooked. What we've done is we've got rid of moisture. Can you see those? Yeah. They're sort of 2/3 cooked, if you like. So that, because the frittata won't take that long to cook, you need to just sort of take the edge off, really. So carefully add them in. You don't have to add them all if you don't want to, but you kind of want to make it a meal, don't you? Yeah, so there we go. Put that to one side, and then we mix that together. So we've got even distribution all the way through. Okay, it's going to be good, this. So oil into the pan, and you want to a reasonable amount because you want to create like a coating of oil that goes up the sides so that it allows the frittata to come out, okay? So let's pour it in. There we go. And now you want to cook this for about 15 minutes on a medium heat, just so that the edges are bubbling, because that will cause the frittata to set. We want the heat to come up evenly all the way through. Cook the eggs, and we're going to flip it over just to finish it for a couple of minutes. Right, this frittata has been in the oven. So I cooked it in the beginning in the pan and got everything kind of cooking around the edges. And that's the key to making a good frittata is getting the edges all cooked and golden, and then whack it in the oven, and it means that the middle will just cook through nicely. And what I have done is just got a plate on the top there. We turn it over. There we go. Look at that. And then we slide it back in. Okay, and then just let it sit on the heat just for a couple of minutes, just to make sure the bottom is completely cooked. Now, to serve it, we're going to take a little bit of sherry vinegar, all right? So we're keeping that Spanish theme. And then we've got some olive oil, so 1 tablespoon of sherry vinegar, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then we'll have a little bit of black pepper in there, a little bit of salt. And then what I like to put in my dressing is just the tiniest little bit of honey. And it just kind of brings the oil and the vinegar together. So it's not two harsh things that don't want to mix. The honey just kind of bridges the gap, I think. Okay. Let's give that a little mix together. It's important you do this last minute as well. Okay. I know, it's a bit harsh, that, wasn't it? Right, and we'll also get a little bit of our manchego cheese as well, because I just think we've got some. It's going to be good. So in with our pea shoot salad. So there's some rocket and some pea shoots in there. And then a little bit of our manchego. Not much, just need a little bit, I think. Make it nice. Don't mix the salad yet, though, until you are absolutely ready. Okay. So we've got our salad. We've got, that's warm enough, I'm good. We've got our frittata. So let's just mix it really gently now. Okay. Now it's got its lovely dressing on there. Just sit it on top like that. And when you cut a lovely wedge of that, it's just going to clean it right up and taste absolutely delicious. Now to serve with this, we're going to serve beefsteaks Malbec, but it's chilled, all right? So I've got some in the fridge ready. What do you think of this, Emily? Cold red wine.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
So I had a conversation with the guys at Beefsteak Club and they said, right, can you create a delicious recipe that uses Malbec in a box? Yes, in a box, but chilled. So we've had a little bit of trial, we've done some cooks, we've done some testing, and this Spanish omelette with a chilled glass of Malbec is delish, okay? So let's just pop this on here. Very convenient having a box, I must say. It's the Australians that I think created the wine in a box, I believe. So, chilled Malbec, Beefsteak Club style. So let's try it. This will be my first chilled red wine I've had, actually.
Right.
I do like...
Nice.
I'm liking that. Yeah. Do you want to try a bit?
Yeah.
Hang on then. Do you want to think about that?
Yeah.
Right. Let's cut a nice wedge of our omelette. Or frittata, should I say. I want you to try this, Emily, with the food, okay? So let's just lift a portion out. So you can see those lovely layers. Just pop that on there with a little bit of our salad there on top. So that's what you get, yeah? Let's pop that over there. Are you ready? I'm going to pop a little bit in there for you. There you go. Emily only does this off screen. There you go. It's like it magically disappears. So, look, while Emily's having a little taste of that, we're going to ask her what she thinks in a minute. If you want the recipes, please post in the comments below free book. It will take you to Facebook Messenger, follow the instructions, and it will automatically deliver you our mini e-recipe book that we've done in collaboration with Beefsteak Club. The whole series, I'm cooking with, I'm matching for, we're just exploring the whole world of beefsteak wines. I've got some amazing recipes to come over the summer. You're gonna absolutely love them. Emily?
Oh, wow.
What do you think of a chilled Malbec?
That is really nice, really refreshing.
I'm getting it.
Yeah,
I'm a
I like
convert. That. I was very skeptical when they said, try that. And I'm like, wow. That is really, really nice. Okay, so that is how you make the most delicious onion, potato, and manchego frittata, served with a chilled Malbec from Beefsteak Club. Absolutely delicious. Remember, if you want the recipe, type free books in the comments and it will be sent straight to you. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode.